Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Elizibar. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm going to tell you that this review of Meta Man was asked for by the writer. He sent me the PDF to review. So if you think that influences my opinion of this, there's your full disclosure. I'll try to remember to mention this again when we get to the end of this. So the plot line of Meta Man here is you got some army officers and they're waiting on presidential candidate Nixon to land here at Burbank Airport in California. But he doesn't. Oh no, the plane's vanished. And so, Meta Man goes to oh wait, well no, he's not going to investigate. He's taking this pregnant lady to the hospital because her water broke. Bom, bom, bom. Story by John Della Rose, art by Mike Abwan. I don't know how to pronounce your name, and I apologize for butchering it. And James Reed. So naturally, he takes her to the hospital. You know, hey, she seems stable. We'll take care of it. Don't be long. We're going to come back and examine all their faces and stuff. He rushes back to the Air Force Base, looks at the map. They point to it, a completely blank map, and then he's off to the races. He goes out to the desert. He finds the plane. He finds some tracks, and he follows them down this ravine to what looks like an abandoned mine shaft, aka a secret villain lair. Ooh, right? Let's go to 14. That's where the fight scene is. Well, part of the fight scene. All the fight scene? Some of the fight scene. It's right here. We see his powers on display. He flies and he's fast. He's strong. He's bulletproof. Cool pose. And then the very next page we see the villain, who's obviously like the mastermind type villain. He looks like Dr. Fu Manchu, sort of. He's definitely in that vein. Stroking his goatee even. Oh yeah. Using traps. He's got an army. Like, pretty classic stuff. So the plot is that the Soviets want to kidnap presidential candidate Nixon so that Nixon cannot win the election in 1960. We got Russian election meddling. This is a commentary on modern day politics, isn't it? It's also a very straightforward, classic sort of story. If you survived the 80s, you may recall a video game called Bad Dudes. What was the plot of Bad Dudes? Ninjas have kidnapped President Ronnie. What are some of the classic Marvel villains out there? Omega Red, a hardline Stalinist mutant, the Crimson Dynamo, all the Soviet super soldiers, the Winter Guard. I'm sure there are Chinese equivalents to these things, and I just am not familiar with the characters. Like, this is very classic, that kind of communist meddling in the United States, or communist villains doing stuff. There's nothing weird in comic books about that setup. It's very classic. You don't see it much anymore, but that's mostly because I imagine, the Soviet Union collapsed. It's good stuff. Like I said, the dialogue is fast. James Reed's lettering is... I've liked his lettering in everything I've ever seen it in. Here is no exception. The lettering fits nicely into all the bubbles. It never feels like there's wasted space anywhere. The bubbles are placed nicely in almost every panel. Like, I think the only one I might have a quibble with is this, just because there's this wasted space over here. And I feel like maybe, maybe making it a thought bubble and just kind of putting it over there to show like how tired she is, how distressed she is might have been effective, but that doesn't matter. Let's look at the art. The art's generally okay. The characters are proportioned like people, but there's some weird stuff going on. Like, okay, look here. Okay, we got some stuff going on. The building's just like this flat gray, which is unsatisfying. There's apparently nobody in the tower up there. Okay. Oh, that's probably the real tower. So was this like the observation deck for guests? Who cares? It doesn't matter. So we got a horizon line here. Now, if the horizon line is here from this relatively flat angle, then there should be a horizon line up here, and we should be looking at ground. Same here, except the perspective here is kind of weird, isn't it? We're looking at kind of top down on him, but he's like sideways. That feels odd. They have no shadows here. They should. Well, these people didn't have shadows either, which is weird. This lack of background I'm not quibbling with, because this conveys emotion, and that's important. This doesn't convey emotion. This is just a blue gradient. Red shows something like happening. Same thing with this panel. I'm not going to quibble with that. He's even got these little action lines to indicate he's getting into position. The ground here has a little bit of detail, and there's some shadows that have showed up, which is good. He flies off. I don't know how high up he went and how quickly, but boy, he must be up really high if we don't see any of the people down there. Here, this probably should have like some lines across it, because no piece of concrete that big would ever get poured in one piece. Maybe this courtyard area here, but like this part that's the sidewalk next to the road, it's probably sectioned off. I'm going to guess that this is what the Burbank Hospital actually looks like. I don't know. The room here I like. There's some details on the walls. There's some floor tiles. You see the folds in the bed. The cloth lays pretty naturally. I don't like the coloring. I can't tell where the light source is based on the coloring. And there's no floor tiles out here. Like if you try to track this down in the scene, he's lit here from over his left shoulder, which should be over the doctor's left shoulder in this panel. But if we look here, they're lit from this direction, which I can only presume is the doorway? I don't know. I can't tell where the light is in this room. Now, I do like that there's some little realistic details in the walls. You got the little rail, like that's cool. That's good stuff. There's no clouds. When we saw the sky earlier, it had clouds. There's not a single cloud here. We're looking upwards. There's not a single cloud. Actually, we're looking kind of downwards, so we should see the ground or the horizon or something here. This is my main quibble with the book, is the art. Now, all that stuff I said about lack of detail, it goes away here. Look at this. The desert terrain is just full of little fiddly bits that make it look real. You can even see the trail he's following. It's right here, which leads down to this gully and to this cave where there's all this stuff. Like, this actually is all right. This is all right. The guns look funny. That's really my only quibble. Also, this guy must be a beatnik with that stubble. You're supposed to shave, bro, unless it's your 5 o'clock shadow, in which case, holy moly, you grow one heck of a beard. There's even clouds up here. Look at that. Let's go to 14. We're going to make fun of the gun a little bit. So, like, I have no problem with the action, the way this stuff is arranged. Like, this is just kind of fun. It's maybe faster than I would have liked. This might have been more deserving, like a 2-page combat spread than just being crammed into 3 panels, but whatever. Look at this gun. Alright, look at the barrel length. Even if it's shortened because we're pointing away, like foreshortening, that's not going to fix this. This looks like the barrel on an anti-material rifle or something. He's got a super cool pose right here. I like it. The smoke coming off. That's pretty cool. And then I don't know what he does with the gun here. He ties it around the guy. I'm not really sure. I don't really have anything to say here. Now, I think maybe some of my quibbles with some of the art is due to the graphical artifacts in the compression of this file. Like if I come over here to this, we definitely have a resolution limit going on. See? So, zoom to page level. There we go. So I think some of it's just that. The expressions are usually pretty good. The main character's face seems a little weird to me in a lot of panels because his eyes are small and his mouth is small. It's a weird combo. But there's some really great looks too. She's got this look of surprise. Like, ignore the graphical artifacts. I'm sure the final product won't look like this. But look, like, she's like, there's emotion. She's yelling. It's there. It's real. He's got worry written on his face, determination. But what about Nixon? Nobody cares. He's going to go to the hospital. Let's get down here. I would like to... Where's his lips? Where are their lips at? Anyway, he's like smooching her. Totally appropriate. Look at the pain on his face. The determination, the little eyebrow furrow. Like, he doesn't want to go. It hurts, but he has to go do his duty. Open your eyes, buddy. Look at the resignation she has. The facial expressions are pretty golden. Facial expressions go a long way. Also, people... I don't know that the back of my head is that squared off as the back of this dude's head. Like, I don't know. I'm reaching back there. It's kind of flat, but I don't know. I don't know. He's also got a cowlick, which I think is a great touch in the character, by the way. It adds just a little bit of character to the character without being something obnoxious. So at final analysis, the writing was an easy read. The story is a pretty classic one. Something you don't see very much in comics. The lettering's fine, and the art, I'm just looking at this and the same thing, and I can't tell where the light's coming from the coloring. And that kind of hurts. That kind of hurts. So, if anything, the art is kind of letting it down a little bit. Still, this classic kind of story, fighting the communists, that's not something that I have seen in a comic book, a new comic book I should specify, in a long time. So it's kind of refreshing from that perspective. I'm going to let you go. I've been talking for a long time. I hope it wasn't too long. You all have a great day. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Once again, I was given this PDF specifically for the purpose of reviewing it. So if you think that has affected my judgment in some way, you can use your judgment to determine how much you think my judgment was affected. I can tell you that it's not. I can tell you that I'm being just straight up with you. But you believe what you want to believe, because that is your right. But in the end, I kind of like this book, and if there are printed copies that come out at some point, I might just buy one. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.